Hey everyone, how you doing today? Thought I would show you an update and cover a few different things in this video here. One is this guy over here is kind of done, um, and updates on the Creel POI, and then another question I wanted to address, and it got me thinking a lot too on like for season 4 on the Anvil server, what creations do I want to bring in? I think it was asked in a comment as well. At least at least on what I've got right now. So I've been kind of thinking about that a little bit. So to start with here, this little is Transit H2 is what I'm going to call it. It's another human creation in the Transit series. I guess there's been a few of these Transit creations already. Um, this one does moves to 320k storage bays, and that's really its biggest goal in life. It has some utility function beyond that, but not a huge amount. Um, but yeah, it's pretty much set up. You can kind of see what it looks like on the bottom side, and everything is all textured up, running the standard like human texture set. So I did make some blockwork modifications to this along the way when I was texturing it, and smoothed out a couple areas a little bit better. I could have went with a different kind of glass structure on the front. I'm using this kind of like half roundy glass of this nature. Uh, Part of the reason why there's two reasons why I wanted to use this glass instead of the heavy armored fancy glass I like to call it. Is one, all those require sathium, and this doesn't require any sathium. So I got away from that by using regular standard glass. It's shield dependent, and it doesn't have any guns on it. It's just basically, if you're gonna, loot a POI or whatever, it's a storage thing you can bring down to the planet and then fly it back up. It has quite a bit of thrust on it for its size, and therefore I think it could probably operate on high gravity planets. But I got to test that. I'll have to test that in one of these videos here. Fire up a thing and get onto like a 4G planet, see what it can do with storage. But spec wise, in the end here, it is a tier 1. It does have 145 lift, 97 forward. Couple unknowns I've got on this. I've got two generators installed on this right now in the back portion here. I don't know if I need both of them. That's something else I got to test. I know right now flying it around, it's barely touching the power pool that it has. So maybe I could downgrade a generator. If I did, it would free up a little bit more space. This one's really, really, really tight on everything. Like it's considering it's got 640k cargo storage and something this size. A lot of these blocks are cargo extensions. Like all these round blocks are even cargo extensions. I had to bite the bullet a little bit to use some shaped cargo extension blocks. Not as few as I could, but I did have to use a few of those. So inside it kind of looks like this. You got two passenger seats, your pilot seat, extra cargo box over here, your two 320k storage bays. Make sure I didn't screw those up. A fridge, detector, armor locker, O2, and med bay, and over here you got a shower and a your core, and then your pentax tanks right over there. Now I got one thing I don't like about this ship, and it has to do with rads that you get from the shield, and potentially pentaxa tank over here. So I have not found a solution. I've got no place else I can put a part this big in this ship and keep it away from you unless I try to figure out a new layout on how I do the interior. But I'd have to make the interior smaller if I did go that route. Maybe block off this area somehow and put the shield back over there. I don't know. I don't know if it's worthwhile or not. You get if I turn on the HUD, when you go under the shield, it doesn't affect the temperature, but you do get 7 rads. You're right next to a shower at the process if you come back over here, but it kind of sucks. I didn't want any. I didn't want that, but this thing is a total of 4 blocks tall, and that shield is, well, even the smaller size one is still, what is it, like 3 by 2 by 1. It's very, very hard to fit in, especially when you got other hot parts back here that I'm trying to keep away from the you know, the player, stuff like that. So I don't know. I keep on thinking, is there a way I could possibly rearrange this to put this shield in another location, maybe put the oxygen tank forward, or rearrange this stuff a little bit, maybe. And another big thing is, do I need 2 of these generators in here, or could I get by with 1? That would I'm going to do some more experimenting on that. So this took a little longer than I thought it would to get this complete, but it's kind of there. It's kind of there. It needs to be fully tested, and then I got to see if I can possibly rearrange this to avoid getting you know, the rads from the parts inside. I did add a Wi-Fi in over here. I was debating whether or not I want to put a detector over here, but if I get rid of one of these generators, have a little bit of extra CPU, or rearrange stuff a little bit, maybe I could get a little more thrust back over here. So yeah, just little stuff like that. So next part here, and I bet you I'm gonna have to shut a lot of these down again. Okay, so on the POI, I made a little more progress on this as well. So POI, I kind of showed this part. I built a new wall over here blocking off the other side of the hangar. And then I've been tweaking out this area a lot, put in some more damage blocks, decorated all this stuff. So how this works is, when you first enter the POI, you're basically starting a path, and I wanted to run it around in kind of an unusual way here. So this is the only way out of the hangar, only way into the base right now, and this first one's really obvious gate power, you know, gate 1 power, and it's right there. So you hit that, you get a blinky light. Every time you open up a door to get to another area, you get a blinky magenta light. So then that gets you down into this section. There'll be some shooting and blah blah blah, guys all over the place. This got blocked off. It forces you down this way now, and then more shooting and stuff. Get through this room, and there's a gate power 2 switch over here. And that actually leads to the door on the other side of this room, going there, kind of right where my cursor is right now. So when I hit this switch, it will open up that door, and then again the magenta blinky light. So that gets you into the other side hallway area over here. Now there's another door which I got open right now, and that's got the blinky light. It's whoops. You actually go down this center hallway, which I blocked this area off from this room. So this would open up that third door, so gate 3 power. And that's this one here. It lets you up the other side going here. Now, I didn't finish off this wall over here yet. I started, but I gotta do some things to make this prettier. So you get through here, and then there's the gate 4. Now this door automatically is closed over here. So when you hit this switch, it opens up this door, but it also opens up a door here, a new door in the hangar. In this area, I'm starting to work on here. So some new wall structures, and this gets you into the crafting area behind the new wall that was put in place there. And that's kind of where I'm at so far. The next point is going to run you through here. There'll be an extra side room to do stuff with over here, but then you're going to hit the elevator. There's a couple not very used floors over there, and then you're going to end up in this room, and then I'm going to have to work out a way out of this room that's going to probably get you up into the base further. But there's some, yeah, I got a lot of missing blocks and stuff. I've been filling them in as I go, but this will get you around somewhere else in the station, and eventually you're gonna have to get up to this floor, and then this floor up here, and then it's gonna loop you back down to the very bottom section of the base. which is down in this floor area. And then from here, you'll actually end up getting to the core once you get to the central location here. But this will be, I'm going to try to run you through every bit of the base I can before you get to this last part. Now, one thing about this too is once you hit certain gates or these switches, like say you went through gate 1 through 5, for instance, and now you're at this area. Well, this door is now open. So the next, say you bite it between there, now you don't have to run through all this stuff again. You can just go through this door and continue on your path. And I'm going to try to do that throughout this the station. You know, kind of like checkpoints, I guess. I don't exactly know how many gates there would be to it, or switches or whatever to hit before you get to a door. I'm not trying to really hide the switches either. I'm trying to keep those fairly visible and, again, not confusing. I know the layout of this place is kind of confusing, but the way I'm doing it is, you know, if you just keep on following unexplored areas, you'll mostly find your way through it without getting lost, and that's the goal. All right, so anyway, that's those two things. Next thing, I was asked, you know, with Season 4 on the Anvil server, Reforged Eden, what creations am I looking at that I would want to spawn in first, and you know, what idea do I've got right now on what I've got made, at least. So to start with, my very first creation that I would want to bring in is the Scarab STC, or the tree cutter. It doesn't do much. It chops trees, and it can hold, I think, about 650 logs per chopping run. That's really all it does, and it's transportation. But it is dirt cheap, absolutely dirt cheap. So Scarab, sorry. Let me just pull up the stats on this in Reforged Eden. Let me get over, okay, so we're on HV already, Scarab STC. So yeah, it's got a 15-minute and 28-second build time. It doesn't use anything special whatsoever. So it'd be an easy thing to spawn. And why I want to spawn this first is because unless things change, chopping trees gets you a lot of experience for your player. So you could chop down a forest and be level like 12, which is wonderful. If that's still the case, perfect. Not to mention you can use the wood to make biofuel with, and have wood, which you need for various things, I suppose. But definitely for the biofuel aspect of it, and getting experience, and also not having transportation. So that's, I think it's just the most effective for cost that I've got really early game. And I could keep it around and store it in a hangar pretty easily from moving forward from that. So the next thing I was looking at, after I get this going and get resources built up a little bit, I think what I would want to do, and I was looking at a couple of the turrets I've got, or these defense turret setups here. I've got the MCR on Point Defense T1. This one I really like, but it's a little more pricey. And then I've got this littler one, which is a lot cheaper, but it's not as good of a turret. I'll have to pick. I think because it would be a starter planet, I might go with the cheap one, or two of these, which is still cheaper than one of the other ones. So this Frontier deal over here, this one here is got a 20-minute, 42-second build time. Again, doesn't require anything special to build it. It's got 3 minigun turrets on it. This is basically, I'd want to get a couple of these ready and some ammo in them. And then after that is complete, my next thing I think is I'm looking at the Janus again, the Janus ASV module. So I didn't really get to use it much last game. I wanted to, but it just never happened. It was I never really got to the point of using it. But basically, this one starts out as a base. So it's a CV, but it doesn't have any thrusters or any CV parts on it whatsoever. And because of that, It's got a 2 hour and 8 minute build time, and again, this one's going to need a smidgen of cobalt, 53 cobalt, so I'd have to acquire that, and it does need a bit of titanium too. So this probably wouldn't take place until after hitting some kind of POI, at least to get enough of these two things. The rest of it is really simple again. But what this would give me is a base to start with. And in the base here, it's got 4 small constructors, 1 large constructor, 4 320k storage bays, and it also has a 40k ammo bay. Places to put all kinds of other things, your armor repair, your repair console. If I wanted to repair stuff, I could put a repair bay in here. It's got places to add more generators, and of course on the outside of it, it's got places to add thrusters. You could add little thrusters, you could add big thrusters, or the large thrusters. And it also has a spot here. It's got 6 drill mount positions in here too, so I could do all the CV mining, especially if weapon limits are on. Something like this would be wonderful because it was set up to use the weapon limits drills, or 6 of them. So beyond all that, after that, it's also a module. So yeah, and you can add in a warp drive, and you can add in everything to it. It's got a little bitty farm in it too. It's not a real big farm, but it does give you 18 grow plots over here. So that could be done as well. It's got places for all your different cores to up your core stuff. And let's see, at the very top here, it also needs even a CV pilot seat added. That's one of the other things to get this operational. But yeah, this would be like a CV that is really, really upgradable, that can do mining, that does storage, that does production, a little bit of farming, especially for one player. 18 grow plots, probably fine. So yeah, and then it's got docking room, so I can park stuff on it and in it, and I think that I would go that route. So once I got to the point where I wanted to start, say I got this thing up and operational and able to do, certain functions, especially like asteroid mining and things like that. My next thing would probably be getting into more into the combat-oriented stuff. Now, a couple options there. What I was looking at is for a combat CV. I'm still kind of. I used this last season, and it was. I felt it worked pretty well for what it was. The Scar Badger. It's probably one of my more ugly ships I ever made, but it was really designed around function as opposed to trying to look pretty. And this one's got a lot of Xeno on it, so this one would, even to build this, I would need to loot some POIs prior to getting this to get enough Xeno to build the thing. But it's got a lot of firepower. It's able to hit targets with you got 8 artillery launchers, and you got 6 of these big pulse laser launchers, plus a barrage of turrets on it. And then you could add in like your Reforged Eden long-range radar and stuff like that, and you could pop in some more turrets. So I was looking at the specs on this, and one thing that's throwing me off right now, and I'm not sure exactly why. I thought this was tier 4 CPU compliant, but I'm seeing that it doesn't have the tier 4 blocks in it, probably because I made it, maybe it's because it was set up to also be able to work with vanilla. I'm not sure. I gotta look at this, but it's also 2.1 million was your CPU cap, and this is going over that. I thought it used to fit, but maybe the version I got in here was already specially modified a little bit. I'm not sure. I'm sure I could mess with it and get it CPU compliant though. So this, the primary goal of this would be to get into your mid-level space combat fights to start accumulating CPU, whether that's quantums or auxiliary cores or whatever. Fairly confident it can do pretty good damage, and it can take some hits back. And one other neat feature about that, because if I already have this guy, this module, it's actually got this weird kind of makeshift module bay on the back of it. So you pull up the module, the module landing gear, park over there, and then you got a connector door in between this and the ship over here. And there's the inside. So you got again your primary function stuff in the ship. It doesn't obviously have any docking space or anything like that, but you could I could drag around a Janus with it. The only side effect of that, if I had other equipment, because this one would be the driving ship here. I'm not sure where I'd dock anything, because I couldn't dock it on the Janus, because you can't like have dock stuff on a CV that's docked to another CV kind of thing, which is kind of really annoying. But yeah, I'll have to figure that out, and I don't know if I'll have time to make like some kind of new lower level. Well, I would not end game combat CV. So that's another thing. So also with POIs, and maybe before I go to this, I might go for a tank as well. So on the tanks, I got some of those out here. These are the 4 newest tanks I think I made. So I got the Empyrion Ballista T4. This was made for vanilla. Yeah. And this is of the older design style, basically where it's dealing with more like a layered armor front approach before you get to the interior of it on the front. And the Scar Ripper was very similar to what this one is, just bigger, a little bit beefier with armor, and it also has some Gatling guns and stuff and a little more thrust power. So these are kind of like my probably 3rd generation tanks, but I'm actually steering more towards the 4th generation tanks, I guess you could say. And then that brings it into these two. Now, this one I used in game. Actually, I kind of used both of these in game, and I was pretty happy with both of them, especially this one for the cost. The MCRN Scorpion AT. Let's see how you're doing in current CPU. So this one's totally cool with CPU. But I liked how this one was set up. It's a frontal attack HV tank again, but it just has this big open space over here. And I noticed when I was using it in previous seasons, that exactly what I wanted to happen happened, so I was really happy about that. And that is that the POI typically is going to be shooting at what it sees first, so this line of turrets on the front over here, and that does like so little damage to your overall tank. It's I never really took much in damage with this thing, and used it on fights with a lot of different POIs. And then even beyond that, if you did start taking hits on the front here, this is just, again, a big open area before you get to the actual interior space back over here. And I felt pretty safe, too, in it for its cost. Now, if weapon limits are on, this probably would exceed the rocket launcher count by some. I'm not sure what the max weapon limits. Hold on, let's find out. So it's HV and missile turrets. Oh, let's get rid of something here. Oh, it's got so much junk in my inventory here. So what do these say? Oh, well, maybe that's not an issue at all. It's telling me that max limit on these is 24. Okay, this only has like what, 12 or 14 on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12. 12 rocket turrets. So yeah, maybe it needs no modifications whatsoever if those are going to be the weapon limits. Now, something I haven't done yet, and maybe I'll do it this afternoon, is I got to get the latest like version of Reforged Eden Creative Studio. I think it's like beta version or something like that, or alpha version. I'm not sure, so I can see the numbers to see how these things play out. I believe that obviously the next season on the Anvil server will be using the latest version of Reforged Eden. There was a bit of a debate about weapon limits on that, whether they're on or off. I don't know yet, but I'm trying to be cool either way. Now, So yeah, yeah, this one, yeah, number wise is really coming out good. It really is. So probably this actually before the Scar thing. If I bring in the Scar Badger, this one again different function. This one's POI combat. I'm sorry, space combat is what it's really about. This one obviously is ground attack, POI combat. Um, and then there's another option, which I don't know if I'll do it or not, but I've got this Kriel Interfector, and this one can do space and ground POI combat. So the space part of it has a whole lot of turrets, but the stock turrets on here are kind of wimpy. Bunch of cannon and minigun turrets. So it didn't do super well against other CVs and things like that because of the type of turrets that are on here right now. But to put on better turrets, it takes a lot of CPU. Now this isn't a super pretty creation again. It's using a lot of Xenoblocks in it, in the build, things like that. It's pretty tough, but its neat ability is being able to get into this alternative cockpit it has on the back. Aiming straight towards the ground. This is actually how it lands. It lands on the ground. Like you fly it in space, like you see it here, but when it lands, you actually hop in the other cockpit and you park it straight down to the ground. So it kind of looks like a bit of a pyramid kind of thing when it's actually parked on the ground. But with all these turrets, and all these turrets are able to shoot in atmosphere, it pulverizes ground POIs like there's no tomorrow. So, and not to mention it's a CV and it's got a CV shield in it and all that stuff. So, if you really wanted to obliterate some ground POIs, this is probably my best creation for it. Now I've got that bigger Scar Beholder. This one actually does probably a better job and it's cheaper. So, and it can do space combat too. So the other one can. So this one, feature-wise, has more advantages there. It doesn't have a hangar or anything like that again. And that is something I'm going to have to deal with like a main ship at some point. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I'm going to go for. I kind of want something with module bays, at least two. I don't know if I really want a space station. If I did have a space station, my favorite for function remains the Solaris station. I think it is the. I like the layout of it. I liked the open air in it, things like that. So it was, not to mention when you're flying around, when you're in game, using your jetpack in a big open area like that, it was just easy to get around all over the place. Easy to do the crafting. Has tons of capacity for storage if you add in a bunch more. And then you've got 5 regular module bays, 1 dropship module bay, 4 Majora module bays, and a lot of docking space, plus a repair thing and furnaces. It's got 5 furnaces in here. So a lot of things that it just worked. I like this one. So, but again, it's a space station and you can't move it around. That part kind of sucks. But I mean, well, what can you do, you know? So this is a definite option. Probably my most useful space station. Well, larger space station. I've got the very old one. I'm kind of curious on how this smaller station actually turns out now. What am I thinking of? The Helix Orbital. I built that one a long time ago. I have not looked at the specs. It was built before Reforged Eden existed. So that kind of scares me right off the gates. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? I don't have you? Uh-oh. Yeah, Helix Orbital, start with an H. Huh. Well, might have to resub my own creation. It's not the first time this has happened. I had a couple creations when I was cleaning up things. I think I screwed up at one point and deleted some of my own blueprints. But there's a way around that. So I guess I'm not going to look at the Helix Orbital since I don't actually have it now. But I don't think it was going to work out too well with a lot of modifications. Now this is a pretty pricey station though. It's pretty big. It does have some fluff in it, so it's not completely all function. But if you're into farming, it's got a huge amount of area for grow plots. Um, and then if you're into farming, production, and storage, stock, how many? This came with quite a few storage bays. But let me just take a look here. Okay, so it has 16 320s off the gates, but then if you wanted more than that later on down the road, you could fill in all these bays over here. So that brings in another 10 320k bays, and you put a controller on each one of these, and you fill in whatever block area there is back over here with cargo extensions. And again, with all the modules too, like I could park the Janus right up to this, get my, depending on if I even need it, one of the like the Plutus, miners and stuff like that, or whatever other kind of modules that are out there. And there's a lot of different modules. So that's kind of what I'm steering at with what I've got right now for stuff that I'm kind of like pre-checking out to make sure they work with the numbers. Again, I'm going to have to get the latest version of Reforged Eden, though, and really look at these numbers again to see how they work out. Now, I don't have any more advanced ships using the more advanced like shield boosters and all the other parts yet. If there's time after I get done with, well, I'll keep on working on this. I'd like to get this done as quickly as I can. The other thing's about done. Maybe after that, I start diving into a next generation small combat CV. Maybe something to replace this one. However, I like this one, and what I really hate about building any of these kind of CVs, especially if I'm gonna use Xeno and stuff like that, is looks-wise, I'm gonna really struggle with. Typically, it's just too many turrets and Xeno blocks and inability to texture things the way you want them, and a lot of things like that I might build a weird another pine cone. I also thought about building like some kind of SV that was had a huge amount of firepower on it, but I'm not so sure, because what I keep on seeing on SVs that really is a deterrent, not to mention like storage and things like that, is you can't get very much storage in SV, not compared to like this thing destroys any SV I could possibly make with storage versus its size and cost. So SVs really kind of suck with storage. The firepower, I found that I typically in the past found that I had better success rate with a tank, like one of those tanks over there, versus a SV. But maybe things are changing. But another thing that really bugs me about SVs, even like this one, which doesn't have a whole lot going on it, it still is a 3 hour and 20 minute build time on it. And that is I think lacking almost all weapons. So it's got 4 Gatling guns on it, but it doesn't have any of the turret mounts on there. It doesn't have much going on, and it's still fairly expensive. Let me get some fuel in here. I gotta remember how much storage this had. Now, I like the looks of these things. Kind of why I build them, but I have 5k ammo, 32k storage. So yeah, 32k storage on this. It can move around a couple scarab tree cutters on the back here, something else at top mounts that's not very big. But man, comparatively speaking, this thing does what that does. But this has got 640k storage on it, and 2 hour 25-minute build time. Doesn't use any Zecosium or anything like that. So kind of, since that's not a combat-oriented ship either, this one just outperforms it, just hands down. It's cheaper, it's faster, it can move 32k storage to 640k storage. It's not even a comparison. This one can't shoot anything, but that could be you could probably slap in another, even a basic CPU core, and I don't know where you'd put turrets on this thing. It'd probably look dorky. You could probably put some on this these areas right on the sides here, I guess, or a multi-turret. A multi-turret would be very practical for it. But yeah, it's kind of what I'm looking at, and it's kind of like, I don't mean to like necessarily ditch on SVs. There's for looks wise, SVs are, some of the a couple of the SVs I've got are probably some of my more favorite looking creations, but as in game practicality and purposes, they're a huge underperformer. I much rather have a like this. Much rather take this against most POIs in the game as opposed to an SV. It kicked out better firepower. It's easier to dodge incoming fire. That's how it was. But there's a lot of new things for SVs, and there's other tactics and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm still steering towards a tank for ground combat, or a specialized CV to do ground combat. Maybe not something as extravagant as that, but maybe just something that was like this, that had a whole lot of turrets on the front of it. I think XCaliber made something just like that, and it worked really well, actually. So kind of the way I see it, trying to just get the creations that I think have the best potential and kind of more tried and true, I guess, in gameplay. Versus I'm not sure how it's going to work or not, and if it costs a lot, it's kind of dangerous to find out. No, of course I'd love to have something like this in game, but this is super excessive. It's an effective tank. It really was made to take down POIs as quickly as you can, really, for a HV. But yeah, that's a huge cost and huge amount of quantum cores needed for something like that. So that's why I'm steering towards the Scorpion. Anyway, that's kind of what I've been thinking about a little bit. What I'm going to actually use for the next playthrough. What I might want to build yet. Now, something I'm really lacking is any decent SV miner, and I believe those are going to be needed for places in the game. I have one SV miner, a Scar something or other. I wasn't totally on board with that, and it can't do like the high gravity stuff. And I think that would be, if I was going to have a SV miner, I think one of its main goals would be able to get stuff it can mine in probably nasty planets with high gravity. So that's kind of what I would look at. And I know a lot of other authors have made those, and there's some really good ones to pick from out there if I went with another author's creation. So I don't necessarily have to make one. I just kind of like to. I mean, I'm a builder, so I think most of us builders like to build stuff so we can bring it in game and try it out. So I'm always kind of steering towards that. Anyway, I'm going to shut up. I've been probably rambling on a bunch about this, but just trying to, pre-thoughts on Season 4, what I would want, what I think are some of the best creations I've got for functionality between like early game, beginning / up to about mid game. After that, I haven't really thought about like end game stuff at all yet, so I'll have to consider that too. Anyway, you all have yourself a good day, and I'll talk to you later.